Ladies and gentlemen, we've all been there giving our all to someone who took us for granted. You loved deeply, you sacrificed, you cared, and in return, you were left feeling unappreciated, unseen, and maybe even abandoned. But today I'm here to tell you that the greatest revenge is not anger, not tears, and not begging for love. The greatest revenge is becoming the best version of yourself, so much so that when he looks back, he realizes that losing you was the biggest mistake of his life. Let him feel the weight of his choices. Let him sit with the regret of losing a person who stood by him through everything. But how do you do this? You don't do it through words or empty threats. You do it through action. You do it by rising above the pain and transforming into someone he can never replace. Walking away with dignity is one of the most powerful things you can do when someone has taken you for granted. It means making a firm decision to remove yourself from a situation where your worth is not being recognized, without feeling the need to explain yourself or seek closure from the other person. It's about understanding that your value is not tied to how someone else treats you, but to how you see and carry yourself. When you walk away with strength, you send a silent yet powerful message. You will not tolerate being undervalued, and you refuse to waste your time on someone who cannot appreciate what you bring to the table. There is something undeniably compelling about a person who can leave without causing a scene, without begging, without arguing, and without trying to convince someone to stay. It shows immense self-respect, self-control, and emotional maturity. People expect reactions when they hurt you. They expect tears, anger, or desperate attempts to make things work. But when you do the unexpected and simply remove yourself with confidence and grace, it unsettles them. It forces them to sit with the reality of what they have done without giving them the satisfaction of seeing your pain. Walking away with dignity does not mean you are unaffected. It does not mean you are not hurting. It simply means you choose yourself over someone who did not choose you. It means recognizing that staying in a place where you are not valued will only continue to drain you, while leaving creates the opportunity for healing, growth, and something better. The strength to walk away does not come from the absence of love, but from the realization that love should not cost you your self-worth. There will be moments when you are tempted to turn back, to send one last message, to ask for answers. But those moments are fleeting, and if you give in, you will only prolong your pain. The truth is, you do not need an explanation, an apology, or validation from the person who hurt you. The closure you are looking for comes from the decision to move forward without them. It comes from choosing peace over chaos, self-respect over desperation, and strength over weakness. When you walk away with dignity, you reclaim your power. You show not only the other person, but also yourself that you are not someone who waits around for love that is not freely given. You become someone who values their own time, energy, and emotions too much to beg for something that should have been given willingly. And in doing so, you set the foundation for a life where you attract people who recognize your worth from the beginning, rather than realizing it only after you're gone. Focusing on your growth after walking away is not just about proving a point to someone else. It is about proving to yourself that you are capable of rising above pain, disappointment, and heartbreak. It is about turning your energy inward instead of wasting it on someone who failed to appreciate you. When you shift your focus from what you lost to what you can gain, you begin to see the endless possibilities that were always within your reach, but may have been overshadowed by the relationship you were in. Personal growth starts with self-reflection. It means taking an honest look at yourself, not to dwell on past mistakes, but to understand where you want to go next. It is about recognizing that you have dreams, ambitions, and a purpose that go far beyond any one person or relationship. Maybe you had been holding yourself back, settling for less, or pouring so much of yourself into another person that you forgot to nurture your own passions. Now is the time to redirect that energy into becoming the best version of yourself. Growth comes in many forms: mentally, emotionally, physically, and even financially. It means expanding your mind by learning new things, reading books, taking up new courses, or developing skills that push you forward. It means strengthening yourself emotionally by healing from past wounds, setting boundaries, and understanding that your happiness should never depend on someone else. It means taking care of your physical health, whether through exercise, a new style, or simply treating yourself better. It means taking control of your financial future, working toward your goals, and making sure you are never in a position where you have to rely on anyone for your stability. When you invest in yourself, you start to radiate a different kind of energy, an energy that is confident, secure, and untouchable. People notice when someone is evolving, when they are glowing from within, when they have found purpose beyond heartbreak. And the person who once underestimated you will notice too, not because you went out of your way to show them, but because true growth cannot be ignored. There will be moments of doubt, moments when the past tries to pull you back, moments when memories make you question whether you should have fought harder to hold on. But every time you choose yourself, every time you take another step toward becoming stronger, wiser, and more independent, you are rewriting your story. You are proving that your happiness was never meant to be dependent on someone else's presence. You are showing that while they may have lost you, you have gained something far more valuable. Yourself. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have when someone has taken you for granted. It is not just the absence of words, it is a statement, a lesson, a force that speaks louder than any argument or explanation ever could. When you remove your presence, your voice, your reactions, and your energy from someone's life, it creates a void that cannot be ignored. People often expect a reaction when they hurt you. They expect anger, tears, desperate messages, or long conversations filled with explanations and pleas. They expect you to fight for their attention, to demand answers, to show them how much they have affected you. But when you do the unexpected and go completely silent, you leave them with something far more unsettling: uncertainty. Silence forces the other person to confront the reality of their actions on their own. Without you there to remind them of what they did wrong, without your presence to reassure them that they still have access to you, they are left with nothing but their own thoughts. They start to wonder why you haven't reached out, why you haven't fought to fix things, why you haven't given them the reaction they expected. And in that wondering, they begin to realize the weight of your absence. They may not admit it right away, and they may even act like they didn't care, but deep down, the silence is working on them in ways that words never could. Choosing silence is not easy. It takes strength to resist the urge to reach out, to avoid checking in, to fight the habit of responding when they finally decide to contact you. It requires discipline to remind yourself that engaging with them, even out of anger or sadness, only gives them power. Silence, on the other hand, takes that power away. It shifts the dynamic. It forces them to feel what life is like without you, without your support, without your care, without your voice. And that realization does not hit all at once, it creeps in slowly, in the moments they least expect it. There will be times when they test your silence, sending small messages just to see if you will respond, checking if they still have a hold over you. They may even act as if nothing happened, as if they can walk back into your life whenever they please. But every time you resist, every time you choose your peace over their temporary attention, you remind them that they no longer have access to you on their terms. They will start to feel the impact of what they lost, not because you told them, but because the silence itself became a mirror, reflecting back to them everything they took for granted. Transformation is the most undeniable proof that you have moved forward, that you have taken control of your life, and that you refuse to be defined by the past. When someone walks away from you or takes you for granted, they assume you will remain the same, stuck in the same place, emotionally stagnant, and still longing for their presence. They believe that time will pass, but you will remain unchanged, still waiting, still hoping, still the person they once knew. But when you decide to shift your focus inward and completely transform yourself, you break every expectation they had. You become someone new, someone stronger, someone who no longer fits into the space they once occupied in your life. True transformation is not about pretending to be happy or putting on a show for others to see. It is about deeply evolving in a way that changes how you carry yourself, how you think, and how you approach life. It starts with healing, with acknowledging that you deserve more, that you were never meant to shrink yourself for someone who could not see your worth. It means stepping into a version of yourself that is no longer attached to the past, that no longer seeks validation from someone who did not appreciate you. It is about discovering new passions, setting new goals, and finding joy in things that have nothing to do with the person who once caused you pain. Your energy shifts when you grow in ways you never thought possible. You start taking care of yourself in ways that go beyond the surface, choosing to prioritize your well-being, surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, and engaging in experiences that bring you fulfillment. The way you speak, the way you move, the way you present yourself all begin to change because you are no longer carrying the weight of someone who did not deserve you. The glow that comes from self-love and growth is not something that can be faked. It is something that radiates naturally when you have truly elevated yourself beyond the version of you that once accepted less than what you deserved. The most powerful part of transformation is that it does not require an audience. It does not need validation. It is something that happens in quiet moments of self-discovery, in the decisions you make every day to choose yourself, to let go, and to embrace the future with confidence. And when the time comes that they do see you again, whether in person, online, or through word of mouth, the impact of your transformation will be undeniable. They will see a person they no longer recognize, someone they cannot reach in the way they once did, someone who has moved so far ahead that the version of you they knew no longer exists. Realizing that you were the prize is a shift in mindset that changes everything. It is the understanding that you were never the one who needed convincing, chasing, or proving your worth. The mistake was never yours, it was theirs for failing to recognize what they had when they had it. When you embrace this truth, you stop seeking validation from those who do not see your value, and instead, you step fully into your power, knowing that anyone who fails to appreciate you is simply not meant to be in your life. It starts with understanding your own worth at a deep level, beyond surface level affirmations or temporary confidence boosts. It means knowing that your love, your energy, your presence, and everything you bring to a relationship are not things that should be taken lightly. You were not just someone who was there to fill a void, provide comfort, or make someone else's life easier. You were an asset, a person of depth, intelligence, kindness, and strength. You were someone who gave selflessly, supported without hesitation, and stood by them in ways they may not have even realized at the time. But just because they could not see it then does not mean it was not real. It simply means they were not capable of appreciating it. When someone loses something valuable, they often do not realize it right away. People take things for granted when they believe they will always be there, readily available, offering the same love and effort regardless of how they are treated. But once that constant presence is removed, once the care and devotion they never acknowledged disappears, reality sets in. They start to understand, often too late, that what they had was rare. They begin to compare, to search for what they lost in others, only to find that no one quite measures up. The way you loved, the way you supported, the way you made them feel, it was unique. And the painful realization dawns on them that they can never find another version of you. This is not about seeking revenge or hoping they suffer. It is about fully stepping into your value and knowing that anyone who does not see it is not someone who deserves access to you. It is about carrying yourself with the confidence that says, I am the prize, not in arrogance, but in a quiet, unshakable knowing that you bring something extraordinary to the table. The moment you stop doubting your worth and start embodying it, the dynamic shifts. You no longer look back wishing things had been different. Instead, you move forward knowing that the right people, the ones who truly deserve you, will never need to be taught your value. They will recognize it from the start. Losing someone who truly cared is not an immediate realization. It does not hit all at once, but rather unfolds over time in the quiet moments, in the spaces once filled with laughter, in the routines that no longer feel the same. When you remove yourself from someone's life, the void you leave behind is not just about your presence, it is about the emotional support, the understanding, the companionship, and the warmth that can never be replicated in the same way. At first, they may not notice, they may even believe they are unaffected, carrying on as if nothing has changed. But the absence begins to make itself known in unexpected ways. The comfort of knowing you were always there, the security of your love, the way you understood them, without them having to explain, all of that disappears. The texts that once came in the middle of the day are no longer sent. The check-ins, the good morning messages, the small gestures of care, they are gone. And in their place is silence, a reminder that something valuable has slipped through their fingers. The realization grows when they try to replace what they lost. They may look for you in others, searching for the same kind of patience, kindness, and connection, only to find that no one else offers what you did. The conversations are not as effortless. The inside jokes are no longer understood. The level of care is not the same. It is in these moments that they begin to grasp what they took for granted. They replay memories, thinking about the times you were there when no one else was, the times you gave without asking for anything in return, the times they assumed you would always be an option. It is in the stillness of their own thoughts, in the quiet nights when they are alone, that the weight of losing you settles in. The places you used to go, the songs that once played in the background of shared moments, the habits formed during your time together, they all serve as constant reminders. The small things they overlook before suddenly carry new meaning, and they start to feel the depth of the void that was once filled by your presence. The most powerful part of this realization is that there is nothing they can do to undo it. They cannot turn back time, they cannot erase their choices, and they cannot reclaim what they let go of. And as they sit with that truth, they come to understand that losing you was not just about losing, it was about losing a love, an energy, and a connection that they may never find again. As time passes, the weight of their loss only grows heavier. At first, they may distract themselves, filling the empty space with meaningless conversations, temporary connections, or reckless attempts to move on. But distractions are fleeting. No matter how much they try to ignore it, the reality of your absence remains. It lingers in the spaces where you once stood, in the moments when they expect you to be there but find only emptiness instead. They will remember the way you cared, not just in grand gestures but in the little things. The way you listened when they spoke about their dreams, the way you noticed when something was wrong, even when they did not say a word, the way you supported them without needing to be asked. They will recall how effortlessly you loved them, how safe you made them feel, how much effort you put into making their life better. And they will begin to understand that what they had with you was not ordinary. It was rare, it was meaningful, and it was something they should have cherished when they had the chance. Regret will creep in slowly. They will wonder why they did not see your value sooner, why they did not appreciate you the way they should have. They will replay moments in their mind, thinking about the times they should have been more present, more grateful, more aware of what they had. They will wish they had held on tighter, wish they had given you the love and respect you deserved. But wishes do not change reality. At some point, they may reach out hoping to reclaim what was lost. They may send a message, try to reconnect, or act as if nothing ever happened, expecting you to welcome them back with open arms. But the truth is, by the time they realize what they lost, you will have already moved forward. You will have healed, grown, and stepped into a new version of yourself, one that no longer waits for people to see your worth, but instead surrounds yourself with those who recognize it from the start. And that is when they will feel the full depth of their loss. Not just the absence of your presence, but the painful realization that they cannot go back. They had their chance. They had you. And now all they have left are memories of what once was, and the regret of knowing they can never have it again. Over time, they will try to convince themselves that they are fine, that life goes on, that what they lost was not as significant as it feels. But deep down, they know the truth. It will hit them in unexpected moments when they hear a song that reminds them of you, when they see someone who resembles you in a crowded place, when they come across an old picture or a message they never deleted. They will feel a sharp pang of longing, a deep regret that no amount of distraction can erase. They will wonder what you are doing, who you are with, whether you still think about them. But they will be too afraid to ask because they know the answer might hurt. They know that while they have spent their time realizing what they lost, you have spent yours rediscovering yourself, growing, thriving, becoming someone who no longer looks back. They will scroll through your social media, looking for traces of the past, hoping to find signs that you are still within reach. But instead, they will see someone who has moved on, someone who is happier, stronger, and no longer burdened by the pain they once caused. And that is when it will truly sink in. The regret they feel will no longer be a passing thought, it will be a deep, unshakable weight that follows them everywhere. They will see you in places where you no longer are, hear your voice in memories that now feel like echoes, and realize that they had something truly special, something they should have never let go. They will compare every new connection to what they had with you, and nothing will ever feel quite the same. The final stage of their realization will come when they fully accept that they can never have you back. They will understand that the door they once thought would always be open has been closed for good. No matter how much they regret, no matter how much they wish they had done things differently, they will have to live with the consequences of their choices. They will see you as the one who got away, the person they lost not, because you stopped loving them, but because they failed to love you the way you deserved when they had the chance. And that is the ultimate pain of losing you, not just losing your presence, but losing the opportunity to ever experience your love again. As they sit with the weight of their regret, they will go through moments of denial, trying to convince themselves that what they lost was not as meaningful as it feels. But deep down, they will know the truth. It was real. It was rare. and they let it slip through their fingers. They will replay every conversation, every argument, every moment when they could have chosen to love you better, but instead, they took you for granted. The realization will haunt them in quiet moments, in the spaces where you once existed, in the routines that no longer feel the same without you. They will think back to the times when you forgave them, when you gave them chance after chance, when you stood by their side even when they did not deserve it. They will remember the way you looked at them with love, with trust, with a heart wide open. And then they will realize that no one else will ever look at them quite the same way. Because that kind of love, the kind that sees someone for who they truly are and still chooses to stay, is not something that can be replaced. It is once in a lifetime, and they lost it. Every relationship they attempt after you will feel different, colder, emptier, lacking the depth they once had with you. They will search for the warmth you carried so effortlessly, but no one else will match it. They will compare, whether they admit it or not. They will find flaws in every new person, not because those people are inadequate, but because they are not you. The connection, the understanding, the emotional safety, they will crave it, but they will not find it in the same way again. And as the seasons change, as the months and years pass, the memory of you will not fade. It will remain lingering in the back of their mind, surfacing when they least expect it. They will wonder if you ever think of them, if you still miss them, if there was ever a moment when you almost reached out. But they will know the truth that by the time they realize your worth, you had already moved on. That you no longer wait for them, no longer hope for them, no longer leave space for them in your life. And that is what will hurt them the most, not just losing you, but knowing that they had something precious in their hands and failed to see it in time. That they were given a love so genuine, so rare, and instead of treasuring it, they let it go. And now, no matter how much they wish they could go back, no matter how much they long to rewrite the past, they will have to live with the knowledge that they lost you forever.